So they check everything.
Yep. They to where you work at these days.
Oh, Graham.
Say hello.
Yeah, so. Oh, yeah, that room is not.
Yeah, they have one, and another one we're doing, we finished it, now student.
You might need a gavel.
Pros and I help them, but they don't do much.
Oh, yeah.
Right, whenever you're ready, Mayor.
Okay, it's 6 o'clock on June 27th. It's for the Buckley City Council meeting. Councilmember Wolf.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Smith.
Here.
Wolfvale.
Here.
Arsano.
Here.
Burbank. Here. Ferguson. Here. Bender. Absent. Green.
Here. Motion to excuse Councilmember Bender.
Second.
All in
All in
favor?
favor, sorry, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Agenda modifications. Council, if there are any additions, corrections, or deletions to the agenda as amended.
Move to approve the amended agenda.
Second.
Okay.
Yeah, you,
And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
motion carries.
On to announcements, appointments, and presentations, and I see that there are none. So moving on to public comments. So,
Aaron's grabbing this right now.
oh, thank you. So while we're getting the sign up sheet, at this point in the council meeting, we are moving to public comment. Public comment is an opportunity for the public to share information with our electeds. Council will not be having any dialogue during the public comment period. There's an opportunity to speak both at the beginning of the agenda and the end. You will have 3 minutes. Please state your name and whether you reside in the city or surrounding areas. Okay, so on the list here, I'm going to scroll down to Ashley. You're the first one here, but you asked me to be at the end. Okay, so I'm going to skip you. Okay, other than that, I do not see anyone else on the sign-in sheet that wants to participate in public comment. If there's anybody that decides at some point in the meeting that they would like to speak at the end, you don't have to be signed up. Just go ahead and come up and state your name. Okay. So let's move on to committee reports. Mayor's report is 3 items. Today was a big day at the senior center. It was January birthday celebration lunch days. I attended to wish everyone a happy birthday. It was great to see a large group from Rainier State School there as well. We received, and I believe the city clerk has sent to council in their email, a newly elected officials workshop from Puget Sound Regional Council. So if you want to attend, if you need help registering, let us know, but there's a little QR code on there and I've already registered, so if somebody wants to ride with me, they're more than welcome to. White River School District election update. So Saturday, my husband and I got our ballots in the mail. Dave pulled his out and went, wait a second, this doesn't look right. So I immediately called someone that I knew that was on the committee, Mayor Norris from South Prairie. I said, you need to take a look at your ballot and your information. It doesn't look right. She called me right back and said, oh my gosh, you're right. It is not correct. So Monday morning, they called Pierce County Elections. Pierce County Elections informed them that not only was White River School District's ballot measure messed up, so was Tacoma School District's and Franklin Pierce. So voters are going to be receiving a new information sheet in the mail, and they're hoping to have it to voters by the end of the week. So if you talk to people that have questions or concerns, they can always call the elections office or they can contact people on the committee. But just for everyone's edification, the ballot is correct, but the information sheet that they sent in the mail is not. So it says Prop 1 on both sides instead of Prop 1 and Prop 2. So I just wanted to bring that to you all's attention since you're out in the public a lot and maybe someone has a concern. that would be helpful to them. Given that the city previously sent a letter of support for the town of Wilkeson related to the replacement of the bridge, I went ahead and signed in support of two bills in Olympia that are moving through the legislature right now, House Bill 2645 and House Bill 5987. Just wanted to let you all know that I had done that. And that's all I have for the mayor's report for tonight. Consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
On tonight's consent agenda is approval of the minutes of the November 4th, 2025 City Council Study Session, approval of the minutes of the November 17th, 2025 Special City Council Study Session, approval of the minutes of the December 2nd, 2025 City Council Study Session, and claims and payroll.
I'll entertain a motion and a second.
We got one ahead of time.
Oh, sorry, guys. I'm doing it in my order in my book. My bad. Okay, all in favor? Opposed?
Motion carries.
Okay. On the regular agenda for tonight is ordinance 01-26, amending BMC Development Code updates.
Move to approve ordinance number 01-26, adopting development and zoning code updated ordinance.
Second. Okay. Senior Planner Farnsworth is available to ask any questions. Chris, do you want to come up for just a minute if you would?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. I've been in front of you several times regarding this code update. And I just wanted to let you know the reason it was part of the amended agenda instead of the original one was we just had a few odds and ends we needed to fix up after having the attorney review it. So those changes have been made. You've seen this multiple times. There's been nothing substantial changed. And so this is now the end result.
Chris, if you could stay for just a minute.
Yeah.
Where's Mel? Mel, could you come up for a minute, please? I would just like to take a minute to thank these two men for what they have done for this city over the last almost 3.5 years of work to get this comprehensive plan done, to get this development code ready to go. This was a lot of work and something we only do every 10 years. So thank you both so much. Chris, thank you for all your staff work, time, effort, meetings. And Mel, thank you for being the chair of the Planning Commission and all the work that you do. We truly appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, with
Councilmember
that-
Ferguson has a question.
Oh, yes.
I
Councilmember
just have one thing, looking over the packet on page 6,
Mhm.
where it shows the former codes and current codes.
Mhm.
I'm just wondering, down where it has this one, I'm just thinking that one of these is switched, which, because it shows former code LI, former code description. I just think that,
Yep, you're right. That's a typo that can be fixed.
okay, so is it considered light industrial then?
No, so it was formerly light industrial.
Now it's, okay, now it's commercial flags. Okay,
We can absolutely fix
okay, perfect.
that out.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, Councilmember Green.
What were some of the immaterial updates that were made? You should be aware of.
So let me find the correct section here. So on page 6, we needed to add in a line specifically adopting the zoning map. Yep, item number B there down about 3/4 of the way down the page.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments, concerns?
It's a fun read. We read it
So
so many times.
I'll consider that Scrivener's error and just.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and call for the vote.
Burbank,
Yes.
Arsano,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Ferguson,
Yes.
Smith,
Aye.
Wolfvale.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Chris.
sir.
Okay, next up is the RCO grant agreement with Miller Park. And I asked Aaron to come up and ask to be available for questions, comments.
Move to approve the grant agreement for the funding of Miller Community Park.
Second.
Good evening, council. Brief overview on, okay, we've seen one of these before. In the fall, you guys approved just the court feature. Working with RCO, we were able to bring those two together, and this is the grant agreement that makes it one project from the two different funding sources. In your summary statement, we talk about the match out of 307, 600,000 of that has already been set aside of parks impact fees we've saved up over the past chunk of years with the development projects that have come into town. And there's another just over $1 million already set aside and budgeted. In terms of our match, we have through the end of the contract, which is 6/28, to come up with that other small chunk to set aside and put into it through REIT dollars and impact fees that are projected to come in. Any other questions you guys have, I'm happy to answer.
Yes.
So just to be clear, there's no money that we're using for this that can come from that fund a firefighter, correct?
I don't believe so.
Because
No.
307 only had like $19,000 in it the last time we had a budget, so I don't know where the 600,000, came from or city.
The 600,000 is parked impact fees only. So those only can be used for park development, and the others are REIT dollars that we set aside that were already budgeted for Miller Park.
I can,
But the REIT money can't go toward, you get what I'm saying? Can't be funded, used for firefighter.
I don't believe so either. I don't believe that they can be used for firefighter, but I'd have to confirm that with Finance Director Hines.
Growth and development is my understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my understanding that real estate excise tax is to be used for capital. It can't be used for wages, benefits, salaries.
Okay. And you don't have to have the rest of the money before like the 9/16 start date or when it goes.
Nope, by the end of contract date. And we only, let's say the bids come in much lower, we just have to keep the percentile the same as the grant.
Anyone else have questions, comments, concerns? Okay, then I'm gonna call for a vote. All those in favor?
Motion carries.
Thank you, council.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the engineering services proposal for design of Miller Park. And Dom is here if anyone has questions, or City Administrator Banks or Parks.
move to approve the engineering services proposal for design of Miller Park.
Second.
Anyone have any questions, comments for staff? Councilmember Burgess.
I had a question. There was the cultural resource consultant. Somewhere on here, I read that it was $7,000 or thereabout. Is that on top of the 246? Where
It's within.
It's on the other come to the podium.
So it's in that 246,000?
Correct. It's
Okay.
within the number. It's
Okay.
not on top of.
Okay, I just was a little confused as if it was, if we were paying someone else that amount. So,
No, they're a sub-consultant to Gray and Osborne in this case.
okay, perfect. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Motion carries.
Staff reports. Chief Scogan, you're up.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. In your packets was the fourth quarter 2025 Fire Department Activity Report, which also includes a fair amount of just end of year details. So I'm sure as you saw, we finished the year with 1,442 calls for service, which is a 5% decrease compared to the prior year. For the second consecutive season, we were no longer the primary responding ambulance service to Crystal Mountain Ski Patrol. There still may be times that we are dispatched if we are the only unit, especially if it's a life-threatening incident. So we attribute the decrease in 25 A good chunk of that was to no longer being the primary unit to Crystal Mountain Ski Patrol. I'm just going to hit some of the big highlights here, probably the largest and most notable to share. At an admin finance public safety committee, and I think in November, when that meeting was over, and some of the council members were there, we received word from the Washington Survey and Rating Bureau that we were able to maintain our current protection class rating of 3 for 2025 to 2030. That is an astonishing feat. There's no way we can't get there without the support of all of our members. We were at risk during our evaluation in 2024 of sliding closer to a protection class 4. We were able to internally make tremendous progress to keep that 3, which will remain in place for the next 5 years. The bottom line that equates to for property owners is the lower your protection class, the lower the insurance premium that you can pay. So huge kudos to our entire staff of career and volunteer firefighters. It is definitely a teamwork. Moving on, in your packet, we just highlight the types of calls we have. No surprise, emergency medical services makes up the majority of the call type that we respond to. It is definitely a misnomer to be called the fire department when that's 10% or less of what our day looks like day in and day out. Our average response time in the city of Buckley to priority calls only is also a huge accomplishment and a sense of pride that our career and volunteer firefighters are directly responsible for. Nearly 2 years ago, when we talked about the need to add a couple of staff to supplement our volunteers, I shared with council that our average response time was approaching 8 minutes in the city. Our accepted level of service that we've identified is that we can get to your emergency in 8 minutes or less, at least 90% of the time. In the last 2 years, we've nearly cut that in half. In 2025, the average response time to a lights and siren emergency in the city is 4 minutes, 13 seconds. It's not fair for us to collect data from Wilkeson or Carbonado or East Pierce, and it's also not fair for us to include data that doesn't require us to respond lights and sirens. So these are life or property threatening emergencies only. On the final 2 pages, we summarize our count of automatic and mutual aid, which we'll share in much more depth and detail at an upcoming study session. But as you can see, we're obviously providing more automatic or mutual aid than we are receiving. That is also something to be proud of. And again, I look forward to sharing in much more detail how that works and the reasons why. The most notable on the final page is out of the 294 requests for mutual or automatic aid that we were dispatched to last year, 168 of those, the Buckley Fire Department was canceled while en route, meaning we never made it to the scene, we were called off, or we were not needed. So with that, I also shared the entire results from Survey and Rating Bureau in your packet. And I'd just like to open it up to any questions or comments.
Councilmember Burbank. So the response time is amazing. What would you attribute that drastic cut in response time to of what you guys have been doing?
Okay.
To get it done.
So I know some of our department members are in this room, but Assistant Chief Olson, when he was here, he and I both shared with council that in 2023, 70% of the time our department could hit that because we had day staff, we had people in the fire station, but 30% of the time our response time was not good. I shared many specific incidents and stories where it took 10 minutes to get an ambulance out the door in that 30% of the time. I absolutely attribute it to having at least a full-time staff person paired up with the paramedic in the fire station 24/7, 365. We're trying to provide the same level of service 100% of the time, not just 70.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else have questions? Councilmember Green.
Not a question, but more of a comment. I think I probably say this every year, but once upon a time ago, I was an insurance underwriter. So very familiar with protection classes. The protection class 3 is amazing, and that is like real significant savings in your home insurance. Protection class 1 and 2 are pretty much unicorns. You just don't see it. 3 is just amazing. The fact that we were getting towards a 4, but you were able to mitigate that and not just get a 3, but like a 2.98, which they rounded up to a 3, but still it's bragging rights. That's amazing. That's awesome work. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Chief.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Chief, how fun.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. So you look at my public safety report for the fourth quarter, a lot of those, the first 3 pages are just highlights of calls that we've responded to. A lot of times you'll see those on our police plotter that we put on our social media page. But I really want to draw you to the 4th page with our statistics, really. And I didn't have a chance to print out our 2024 stats, but I do have them printed in front of me. And just some kind of for information, our traffic stops continue to rise. We were we exceeded 24 in 25. Our DUIs arrests went from 23 in 2024 to 66 in 2025, which is a huge increase in DUI arrests. Our misdemeanor arrests increased tremendously again. And this is attributed to, and we've got to remember, we were down an officer for the majority of the year. This is attributed to my guys getting out there and doing the work. They are able to be proactive. A lot of bigger cities, guys can't be proactive because they're responding to reactive calls throughout the city. Here, it allows us to be more proactive. And so they're really putting in the work. They're working hard. And as a result, what you'll see from 24 to 2025 is that our traffic complaints and our motor vehicle accidents continue to decrease year after year. They're slowly going down. So that's because these guys are out there making the enforcement. Our infractions, so traffic infractions that we wrote, were down about 100. But if you look at the overall traffic stops, and then with that, we attribute about 30 to 35% of traffic stops result in a notice of infraction. And that's about the average of what we have here. We're at 34%. So out of that's what we look at when officers are doing their own enforcement for each individual officer. They usually average about 35% of the people get an infraction. Their discretion comes into play and everything else. So, but yeah, we just want to highlight that these guys are out there working, busting their tail, and they're doing it even being down officers. So we're doing good work out there.
Comments, questions, concerns? Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Yep.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, back to parks. Let's start with the senior center year in review.
Good evening again. I have a few pages in there of statistics and numbers and counts that show how busy and active our senior center here in town is. And I want to just highlight a few of them and give you an idea. Councilmember Burgesson is on our commission and hears about it relatively all the time. But I think it's important that other people know and our community knows how busy our staff are here and where the funding sources that keep it running come from in order to serve 7,366 meals between our partnerships with Catholic Community Services and our grant funding with CDBG, which is our community block development grant through the county. We've had over 299 participants. We are only counting participants if they showed up at least 5 times. So they aren't participating. They aren't just showing up one time and leaving. And that totals 16,000 check-ins to this small building throughout the year. So a lot of wear and tear, a lot of community building with that. We've had 786 van trips. That van that was donated to us graciously by the Buckley Senior Citizens nonprofit that we now facilitate with volunteers that donate so much time to keep the programs to keep participants able to get here, but then also get out. Our trips that they take aren't just the casino, although those are popular, but trips down to Winco. You know, a lot of our seniors don't want to leave the plateau themselves, but there's some big savings for their pocketbooks if we get them a little further out for groceries and things like that. So a lot of thrift shop trips and other things like that to find good resources for our seniors. We continue with our partners. Pierce County Senior Services grants cover about 60% of our funding for our coordinator here. CDBG funding covers 2 days of our lunch. The other 3, like I said, are Catholic Community Services. Our nonprofit that fundraises helps us do birthday entertainment and have good birthday parties, and they run bingo. And then our volunteers really are a high number. There's 26 that volunteer weekly. So those aren't just your one-off come in for special events, weekly putting in hours to help keep this place going. And all of those really come together to bring this product out to our community. And we're very prideful of that, and how much dedication goes into really serving kind of the least in our community, who with their lack of transportation and rural nature tend to get forgotten about because limited access. So our goal is to bring programs to theirs. Some of our biggest programs this year were our wellness fair, where we brought vaccines out when the bridge was closed. Really worked out because hospital access was brought down. So just quick summary, Tuesdays continue to be our biggest day with 91 average participation for the birthday parties and the different activities happening. We did a swap this year, so it will look a little different next year. Court is now on Wednesdays. And so Wednesdays are our pickup day for lunch here, so a little lower going into next year on Wednesdays, but we're continuing strong. Sail and chair yoga, our 2 busiest programs to keep us active and healthy, as long as a ton of other activities, as you can see, that the seniors partake in on a regular basis. Is there any questions about the senior program?
No? Okay, let's move on to the youth center.
The other population, the other end of the spectrum. Our youth center is open all school days, and then we work to be open different hours during the school, summer, spring breaks, things like that. We've had over 9,000 check-ins, 9,281 check-ins at the youth center after school this last year, and served over 658 youth. Different youth walked through the door, got registered, and checked in. 75% of those kids are middle school age kids. And I would say of that 74% walk from Glacier after school and come to the youth center. So you'll sometimes just see them migrating down Main Street. Our average daily attendance right now after school is 39 kids. School day 41, and 19 during the summer. That summer day average is up about 6 kids from last year when I compared it. We did see some growth with focusing our programming in the summer, and we're going to work to even bring that up further this summer, getting them back in and engaged during the summer months. And you'll see that drop reflected in the average attendance by months. Our big partners in programming at the youth center to help us with both funding as well as supplying good quality connections and resources to the kids include the Buckley Library, Councilmember Morale with a lot of funding support, Goodroots Northwest, which allocated a large budget of food for us this year. Food is our #1 desired requirement, I would say, at the youth center. It gets the kids in our door, and so many kids are hungry and their parents aren't home yet. And so it gets them some food when they're eating school lunch at 10:30 or 11 in the morning. And we have a number of local businesses that like to donate gift cards for giveaways for good grades or kids helping us out with litter pickup. Mother to Many, our Pierce County Environmental Education, the Health Department, Rebecca's with the Oddfellows. Our local counseling and wellness office now has counseling interns on site with us, running special small groups, not doing one-on-one counseling. They're engaging, learning about youth center drop-in stuff. And then there's some special interest small group programming they do. And then, of course, the Wear It for Barrett Foundation, which again this year helped us pass out over 100 helmets and helps with our education and donations to that project. As we move forward, we're applying again for youth violence prevention, health department, hometown grants, and other donations. The program is thriving. If you're around there after school, you can tell it's a hot spot for activity and disconnection, and the amount of people that aren't from Buckley and drive through and will be like, I can't believe how you get all those kids to hang out. It really is special, and that our community invested in that way for the teens. So if you ever want to come by and check it out, I recommend 3 to 3:30 is kind of maybe you don't want to check it out. There's a lot of kids there. So it's a great time. And I'd love to give any of you guys a tour if you want to. So any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Keep those grants coming.
Keep them coming. Thank you, guys.
Okay, city administrator update.
First comment is kudos to both chiefs and department directors and everybody else that gave staff reports today. I'm proud to say that it makes me feel like an underachiever because what I'm about to say is a lot less in depth. But it's still important. I will echo what the mayor said at the beginning of the meeting is I would like to thank the Planning and Building Department, the Planning Commission, our consultant and framework in their dedication and time spending updating the comprehensive plan and their time involved in the more recently updated city development code and zoning regulations. That's a heavy lift, and it took a lot of work. So thank you. Next, the next admin finance public safety meeting is Monday, February 2nd at 4 p.m. And then the council study session is Tuesday, February 3rd at 6 p.m. A couple of the things that are going to be a topic of discussion is obviously the fire department in a more, I'll call it an educational role. We want to learn more about how mutual aid works and the calls for service. Real simple, Chief will speak to us on that and try to educate most of us on something that we don't know a lot about. And then we'll have a discussion around e-bikes, e-motorcycles, and e-scooters. So, and I can imagine that those two topics will take the majority of the meeting. So that is my update.
Okay, so I'll circle back. Ashley, you want to go ahead? Sure.
Hello, everyone, Mayor, Council. My name is Ashley Prevette. I am the current president of the Buckley Downtown Association here in the city. I am actually working on my last 4 days serving as the president. So I am coming to you with kind of our, I guess I hit it nail on the head with a few things to note. I feel like Buckley Downtown Association is a very kind of overlooked and underrated organization here in town that deserves to be seen and to be heard. So first, I'm just going to rattle off some numbers for you guys. 2025 was a huge successful year for the BDA. Some of our noteworthy accomplishments this year: we hosted a total of 29 of our very own community-wide events here in town. Community game nights, we do business connections, networking meetings, all the Cruise Buckleys, the annual car show on Main, the hometown market throughout the summer, the holiday market and Christmas tree lighting. We also, as an organization, participated in 3 events that were hosted by other community organizations: the Community Soup Nights, the Buckley Log Show, and the Halloween Trick or Treat. We partnered with a total of 33 other nonprofit organizations throughout the town of Buckley with direct fundraising, donating our time, and platforms, both in physical and online, to help them with marketing and giving them a platform for their cause. We had a total of 32 sponsors that financially helped us grow and make all of those community events possible. I also want to note that the large majority of those 32 sponsors are outside of city limits. We are reaching all over Western Washington to bring people into this town. We hired 10 local musicians that are local here to Buckley. We utilized 13 Buckley physical business locations within city limits for more intimate community events and gatherings. We supported a combined total of 386 booth spaces from local vendors throughout this year of our events. We partnered with the Foothills Historical Society and completed the first installment of the metal mural project on the Vanity Salon building. And also finalized the first ever official process with the city of Buckley for all future art installations within city limits. And we had a total documented count, shall we say documented, this is bare minimum, of 1,394 volunteer hours, which per Washington state labor law would equate to a total of $65,814.93 in actual labor cost that was given just because these people are passionate. That is me speaking on behalf of the BDA, but now I want to speak on behalf of myself and saying that I've been the president of the BDA for the last 2.5 years. I've met a lot of people, all of the business owners in town. Gosh, we've been everywhere, good and bad. And I would say that I think that this group is severely underrated. They are a massive resource. We reach far and wide. We've had hundreds of volunteers, people throughout the community. We host and do massive events. Not just events, but fundraising. I mean, we're working within the schools, all kinds of things. And I think that this association is very overlooked here within the city. Every organization, everybody that everyone's talking about, the youth center, the senior center, the fire department, the police, the city in general, the Chamber of Commerce. We're a massive resource. We have connections to all of these groups and all of these organizations. This is a group of people that are so passionate about this community. And it's hard to find a community like Buckley out there. Nowadays, I mean, we all know the state of the world and the crazy out there. We have something so unique here in the city of Buckley that you don't see in other places. And these people are trying to keep that. And that community here. And I have just seen, like I said, the good and the bad. I have some personal and professional things that are making me step down from my role as president. We'll have a brand new board of directors that we will introduce to all of you, but I am here speaking on behalf of myself to strongly urge everyone to not overlook them, to not bypass them, reach out to these people. They're a huge resource. They're putting in so much time and effort into this community and helping to grow it, and well, keep it what it is, but also to grow it. That is all. Thank you.
Ashley.
Thank you.
Ashley, do you have, when you get a minute, could you send me those statistics on?
I sure can. I
would
printed them
appreciate
for
that.
you.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So anyone else that has decided that they would like to speak? I don't want to close out without giving you the opportunity. Okay, I'm not seeing any. So council members, comments and good of the order. Who would like to go first? Council member Arcano.
A couple things. So one, what we haven't talked about, so funding the firefighter, since we're having a study session about next week, is there a way the city could come and see if there's a way, if any funding we can, or any departments or any way we're cutting within the city that we can do to hire the firefighter? Like position, we've talked about that before.
I think
Courtney gave us a presentation on there was options that we could do, and I haven't seen that being looked at yet. Cause if we have the money budgeted, we may be able to cut something somewhere to. I mean, I want to be, nobody wants to be the bad guy, right? But there's parks positions, there's all sorts of positions, and
We
if
definitely.
nobody's gonna speak up, I guess I'll be the bad guy.
No, we can look at those options. I think that starts at admin, finance, public safety with those options, but
I mean, it's a councilmatic decision at the end of the day, right?
sure.
But as long as we're showed where there's money to come up with.
We're
When
looking
we
at,
get to that point, we're kicking the can too far down the road and rubber's meeting the road.
yeah, yep. We'll look at everything.
one of the things we are looking at, which is why we have not brought a proposal to council yet, is data to try to figure out, not only do we need to pay for a firefighter, but we need to pay for all the gear that goes with a firefighter. We need to make sure they have the equipment. We need to make sure that what that looks like bigger than just wages and benefits. So what we're trying to do is make sure that we have accurate and true data for you all to consider before you choose to do something. If that is reasonable to you, Councilmember Arcano?
Well, we've just heard the outcry from the fire department, and it started, I went back in for my city notes since 2022, we've been chasing this. And I would ask at the council meetings, hey, when are we gonna do our funding plan? Hey, what do we got going next? And I feel like the administration's dropped the ball on it. And I think as council members, I got a due diligence to start pushing a little harder on finance and how we're gonna do this, so.
I certainly respect your opinion. Thank you.
And then two, we all received emails from the downtown about the log show events. And I feel like the way it's getting handled, I think we need to have the legal weigh in if how we allow one event but not two, because I hear scuttle back and forth and I wasn't at the meeting, so I don't know, but if we're gonna promise we're gonna do two events, there's nothing in the thing that says we can't allow two events. It was always past practice that we only allowed one, but then I guess at the meeting it was said, oh no, we can handle two. And I think that becomes a issue because we have two people already in with permits. So I'd like to see what Phil's thoughts on are by rejecting permits.
We can certainly look into that.
I'm
Chris,
duly
if you
noted.
would do that.
Yep.
Can you give me, I want to make sure I answer your question and we get the information that you're looking for, Councilmember Arcano. Are you speaking specifically to, when you say two events, tell me what you mean by that?
Well, right now there's two events in, correct? And there's nothing in the Buckley Municipal Code that says we can't allow two events.
Are you saying two applications?
Yeah, we have two
Is that what you mean?
applications in.
Okay, so you're asking about whether or not we could approve both of those applications?
Because it says it's up to the administrator, he can do whatever times, dates, so it doesn't mean that the two events gotta coincide, they could be at two different times, two different dates. And there's a lot of gray area there.
I'll reach out to Phil, the city attorney, tomorrow, and we also are having an internal staff meeting regarding these civil or these events, these city events. And we'll talk with both chiefs around the safety aspect of it. And yeah, those are fair questions.
Okay,
Thanks.
anyone else with questions, comments, concerns? For the good of the order? Councilmember Burbank.
I had somebody ask, and I know we've already discussed it before, if we are gonna have any EV charging stations ever again in Dudley, and I said I would ask. So I know we've talked about it with the ones that are in the.
Behind
that we don't.
yeah, in the north park.
I've had people ask and I don't know what to tell them.
Dom, can you weigh in a little bit on the financials of EV stations?
Sorry.
No, that's
I said I
fair.
would ask,
It's
I
fair.
don't know how to answer.
They're
the
expensive.
I don't either.
Oftentimes they're tied with grant funding.
question. Okay,
It kind of just depends, but for the city to go out and just throw those in, I would have to look at the logistics of that.
right, I just don't know how to answer the question.
Yeah,
So,
sorry, Dom.
at the Foothills Trail parking lot, there are two spaces
Oh.
that are intended for future EV charging.
The one by the bathroom?
Correct.
Oh,
It's literally the two stalls just south of the bathroom.
okay.
We actually ran power over there for a future installation. It gets complicated because of they're not all EV charging stations aren't the same. The trend at gas stations for a while was a bunch of Tesla ones. There's just a new one at the pilot station by my house down near Tumwater, which is a brand I haven't seen, but it's not Tesla. We talked to Mike Clapperich of PSE, and he says, well, how much power do you want? you know, which kind are you gonna get for the EV? I said, well, what kind are you guys seeing? He says, well, we see these big ones that are real, you know, you get a bank of like 12 of them, you know, it's a big deal. But I said, well, we would just have 2, you know, and so it sounded like, you know, the technology is emerging and is fast moving. And so, you know, the last thing we wanted was to, oh, well, let's, you know, try to lock in on this one, and the thing's obsolete because there are some grants available, although, you know, you can't, it's not generic, you know, you have to buy the, you know, it works. You want, in my mind, you want the one most flexible. You don't want only a certain brand of vehicle to be able to use the charging stations. And so finding the right technology is one thing. And then the monetary aspect is a whole different thing. It's a whole different system and getting set up and how much
maintenance and.
Right. Who's paying to maintain these? The grants may pay for you to install them, but if you have to call out a technician every time it doesn't work, I mean, the ones behind the
Which
the
is what
firehouse.
happened at the, we call it the north parking lot behind the firehouse is. they
Those things
became-
got
they-
splashed, the cable got cut like
and
2
they-
days
They
after
became
turning it
obsolete.
on.
We couldn't fix them.
So they're not, we don't have,
No, I understand. I'm just
You
saying
have
there's
to
some
install-
obstacles.
depends on the car.
Right.
Okay, I don't know what to say when people ask me, I'm like, I don't know, I'll ask.
Right. And they're part of it is, and it sounds a little bit like kicking the can, but you know, 10 years ago or however long we put that one in back there were a lot fewer opportunities, or a lot fewer electric cars. And so does Buckley want to be, you know, a EV charger provider where it's not really a core city service? Yeah, it might be nice to have, but you as a council may say, hey, you know, we got important things to work on instead of someone being convenient. And then I don't know, I think it's also, I think more and more with the new houses, a lot more are getting equipped, I think, to be able to have those chargers where your older houses don't, right? Maybe have the same power. So the door's not closed. We have 2 stalls that could be,
Okay.
we have a could be, but it's not probably in City Administrator Banks's top 50.
Fair.
But if he puts it in my top 10, I'll make it
No,
my
it's-
priority.
you just said I'm gonna ask, but that is.
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
Fair. Sorry, Dom.
Ted, if I may add, just a clarifying point. So on electrical chargers for cars, there's usually just 3 levels. So you have your 110 plug, which is what comes standard with the car. That's going to charge your car for anywhere between like 5 miles in an hour of charging. So like you plug your car in when you get home, and in 12 hours, you will only get 60 miles of range. And it will only do that during normal temperatures above 38 to 40 degrees externally. A level 2 charger is what the electricians will come and install in your house. That's going to be 200-ish kilowatt hours, or 200, like on a 220 volt plug. That's going to charge your car, you know, 20 to 30 miles in an hour. So you're going to still charge it if you want 200 miles worth of range, you're charging it overnight. That again will only do it in that operating range of temperature. When it's below 38 degrees outside, that charging rate dramatically decreases. When it gets to level 3 charging, that's the superchargers. Those are all usually pay by go. If to go into a public area, you know, if somebody's going to go walk the park or go walk the city, they're not going to be there for 8 to 10 hours to charge their car. And even if they were, they're only going to get, like I said, 40 to 50 miles if we do a level 2. If we do a supercharger, generally those are through companies like Electrify America. What we will do as a city is we'll offer them a place to come install their chargers. Then some of the maintenance, the installation, all of that stuff is then roped into a contract, a 10 or 20-year contract. So like the dealership that I work at, we have those charging stations. To his point, though, they'll only work on certain vehicles. You then have to have adapters.
Okay.
Yeah, if that makes sense. Also, when you get to a hybrid vehicle, a plug-in hybrid, those will not charge on a level 3 period. So then you're working backwards. So when it comes to who are we trying to service, what is the benefit to the city, to provide a level 3 charging unit would most likely be through a company like Electrify America, where we say, hey, we want to be charged of the Tesla Ford General Motors charging network. And then a customer that subscribes to that can come in, scan their app on their phone, pay to use the charger, then the city could get a portion of that. 2 or 3% or whatever, and then they take ownership of the maintenance, installation, and things like that.
Vandalism.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. I'll just keep.
Hopefully.
using it.
Good work.
Worked
Yeah.
for us a long time.
Anyone else? Okay. At 6:50-ish, because I can't see the right clock.
6:49.
It's 6:49, meeting adjourned.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.
Bye.
Figured I would have